Welcome to the Replenishing Life Project. 30 days to recover from burnout and reclaim your vitality. With your hosts, Morgan B. and Lucy Ann Chard.
Hi, and welcome to the Replenishing Life Project. I'm Morgan B., and I'm here with my co-host, Lucy Ann Chard. Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
We're very excited today to introduce our guest, Tina Rusnak. For over 25 years, Tina has helped coach and mentor entrepreneurs and businesswomen to learn how to reach their full potential by increasing their levels of personal awareness. She has a gift for seeing what others might not see in themselves, and it's her mission for everyone to live their unique, authentic life with confidence and support so that they can have more satisfaction, joy, and abundance in every moment of every day, which ultimately serves the greater good of the world. Wow, that's very powerful. Welcome, Tina.
Hey, hi guys. I'm so great. It's so great to be here. Hi, Morgan. Hi, Lucy.
Hi. We're so excited to have you. So tell us a bit more about you and who you are and the work that you're doing in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so great to be here. So for me, I've kind of been an entrepreneur at heart. I grew up in New York, in Brooklyn and Staten Island. So I have kind of, got a lot of street smarts. And when I started, my work, started my work career, I really found myself, naturally with this gift of just helping, right? So landing in positions where things were kind of a mess, we kind of need some help, Tina, can you just come in here and we really need this place cleaned up, or, everything's kind of out of sorts. So whether it was in a startup or in a corporate setting, I just found, really quickly that I really did have a gift for really just helping others to see what, things were really, what was truly broken, get to the heart of that. And with a sense of fun and motivation, able to accomplish a lot of things in those different roles. So the last 12 years, I found myself as a corporate coach, which was very challenging, but also really rewarding. So now I'm actually changing my focus to be more on women in corporate, women entrepreneurs, to actually help them avoid burnout, right? And so that's really what I'm focused on right now.
Amazing. Well, it's a perfect serendipity that we have you here with us then. So Tina, tell us a bit about your story of burnout and what happened to you, and how did you come through the experience?
Yeah, so I do think the timing is really awesome for this, because I literally over the last probably 6 months have actually got to about 98% of healing my burnout journey. And so for me, because, I'm a busy mom, I was really into my career, have all these heavy responsibilities, and loving the work I was doing, loving, the work that was happening in corporate, I kind of, shut down my internal dreams. So the calls that were coming to me from spirit, the calls for the changes I needed in my own personal life, I was really ignoring. And I was working way too much. I was giving a lot of myself out to family, to the kids, to everything else. And then, as women, as a mom, you don't want to be seen as like selfish, but actually through my burnout cycle, I have learned that that is not a bad word, right? And that it's okay to, have that balance of, yes, I'm going to be responsible and take care of my family and love all the blessings, right? Make the dinners, make the lunches, be able to do all that fun stuff, but then also, where is Tina's life, right? What is Tina's purpose? What is her, journey? And so over those years, I kind of dropped all that. I kind of lost it. Right. And, I think, spirit was definitely calling me. I was getting little tugs about, do I really want to go to work today? It was just these little signs that I think we get. And then maybe it's like, oh, I don't really feel like anymore. I'm really feeling kind of tired. There's just these things that kind of pick at us and we don't really know what it is. And so we just keep going. And so that's kind of what happened to me. I just kept pushing through, kept doing all the work. And then I found myself, in the emergency room having an operation because my appendix shut down.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was, kind of a little bit of a wake up call to, okay, what's really going on here? Because I definitely believe that, our body responds to the stress. Right. So I definitely took way too long, and I definitely ignored all the signs. I ignored all the signals. And so that's where I wound up. And it didn't have to be that way. That didn't have to happen.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like we've and also Lucy and I have been hearing a lot about, especially as women, over giving or, just being in that space of feeling they need to give, and ignoring maybe some internal guidance that's going on. And
and it just builds up over time, and we kind of push it off.
Yeah. And could you talk more about this word selfish?
Yes.
Because I feel like it's such a charged word. Like it means, it has such, to me, it has a bit of a negative connotation.
Right.
And so can you talk more about that and what that means?
Yeah. And so, and definitely in working, and even with, talking with some of my friends and some of the entrepreneurs in the local area, we kind of talk about this a little bit, and it's like, well, I went and got my nails done, or, I went and got a haircut, or, I went shopping, and so there was the sense that, even that was too much. Right. And so I'm like, well, for me, it was kind of the opposite. I'm like, well, I got my nails done, so I'm like taking care of myself. It's like, buying a new outfit, getting your nails done, going out to lunch, that is not what's really needed. When, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to be, and I totally agree, it needs a whole new definition around, and especially for women, like we're saying, because we want to give, we want to do all that stuff, but we also want to have our own, we want to do our thing. We want to fulfill what's calling us, whether that's something creative, something spiritual. And so we need to be selfish with those things, with those callings. And there's nothing really wrong with it because, and I can tell you some more about my journey, but, the family suffers. The people in your life, when you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, when I'm sick in the hospital, I'm not making lunch for anybody. I'm not coaching anybody, right? And I'm not developing to my fullest potential. I'm just shutting it down. And I think a lot of times Spirit will say, well, especially for some of us that are really here to make a big difference, is that it's going to keep calling. So, if it bursts my appendix, what else is going to leave? Am I going to have to lose until I start listening? So I have to find that selfish bone, which I think is really in our heart, right? Because it's really our heart that's saying, it's time, your family's still going to love you. No one is. So I think another part of it is we make all this kind of stuff up in our head. Like we have these false realities we build in our mind, like if I don't do this, and if I don't do that, and if I don't show up that way anymore, this is going to happen. They're going to change what they think of me. And, in the conversations I've had with my kids and my husband, it's totally made up.
Right.
They just want us to be happy. They want us to do what we love, to be happy, to be healthy. And, I know for my girls, live as long as possible, so we can, grow up together, that kind of thing. So I think, it is a great word to maybe focus on maybe for 2020, right? So how can we, as women be more selfish, and let's redefine it so that, we don't burn out and that we continue to grow, and that we don't lose out on our gifts, and we don't lose out on our mission. And, we can have it all, and so I know a lot of folks for years have talked about, like work-life balance. And I totally don't believe in that. What I've come to believe now is that it's all about, inner balance. So if we're not in balance with our spirit, with our mission, with our creativity, with what we want to do for our family, forget work-life balance. You're not in balance with inside yourself. So forget about going to work. You're not going to get to work if you're going to wind up, in the hospital.
Right.
Tina, there's so much of your story that resonates on every level, and I know that there are going to be many, many members in our community who are going to be nodding along with your story because there's so much truth in what you're saying. I'd love it for you to share more with us about some of the steps that you took to really reclaim that selfishness and to allow yourself essentially to receive your
Yeah.
healing process. How did that look? I mean, what were some of the steps that you took?
Yeah, Lucy. Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't pretty in the beginning. Because, like I said, myself, I do feel very powerful, and I have all these, great gifts and qualities, but I was very stubborn. I thought I could keep going. I thought I could keep pushing myself. And even when I realized, okay, I'm in burnout, I need to do something, I just went and thought I could fix it on my own. So in a sense, I was my biggest obstacle. So the big lesson at the end was that, all I needed to do was just ask for some help, to get out. I just had to ask for help. And I was just in, again, that story in my head of, no, you've got to show up as the perfect mom. You've got to show up as the perfect wife. You got to keep going. Yeah, you're a coach. You get it. You can heal yourself. It's going to be fine. No, because I'll go through the process, but the more, I didn't realize how deep my burnout was. It wasn't just from the last few years of coaching. It was from, those layers and layers from when I was like 5, from when I was like 10. So the more so I took it really seriously. And again, I didn't realize where it was going to take me, but the more I dug in to heal, the more crap I found.
Right.
And so kind of after about a year of trying to process this, I kind of hit a wall. And that's when I finally started to come up for some air about, okay, I can't do this by myself. So I did get some support. I had, a couple of, I had a few coaches that were helping me, some friends. But again, it took some courage for me to say, hey, you know what? Help! I can't do this. I can't do this by myself. Because again, I think, if you're really serious about healing your life and having all this and having it all, it's going to take some courage to really face some things that maybe you didn't want to, if you really want to heal in this life journey, right? So my whole journey took about 2.5 years, really, because it was a lot of processing, a lot of work, a lot of body work, a lot of releasing. And so what I found, the first step was really about, awareness. So just paying attention day by day in the moment about, what's real, get out of my head, stop making up stories, listen to my body, who's making up that crazy story in my head? That's not really me. That's just some passing thought. So really focusing on awareness about, who I really am, what I'm really here for, what are my real values, what do I really want to do in this world, right? So it was a lot of heavy thinking around awareness and being aware every day. And with that comes a lot of acceptance, right? So being aware of what's happening. I am where I am. This is where we're at. And just accepting it. Because you guys know, the more you resist things, the more it kind of sticks around and will get worse and worse. So that kind of led to the alignment phase. So first was being really aware of what the hell's going on. Sorry. And then just accepting it, that it's okay. And then getting into alignment. Okay, so all right, so this is where I'm at. Where do I want to get to? What do I need to heal? What do I need to process? So getting into that energetic alignment, mental alignment. And then this final stage, which is where I'm kind of emerging from the last few months, is about really changing. It's about adapting. So having the courage to really step into, okay, before my burnout, this is who I was. That's what happened. Now I've processed, I've learned, I've grown. So much has changed about me. It's not really changed about me. It's just now revealed, right?
Right.
So now it's time to have courage to be that person and be real and don't hide and don't suppress, so that I can move forward, right? So like I said, it wasn't pretty, a little bit ugly at times, but I was pretty committed to, my life. I was going to be selfish. I'm like, no, I'm not going to give up. I just, there's too many examples of people throughout, history who have gone through much, much worse things and they've come through fine. And I'm like, I am going to do this. So I kind of just had that, desire to, and then again, of course, with having I have 2 young girls, my son's a little bit older, I think about them a lot. It's like, okay, who am I showing up for them? I could easily give up and just, go back to being, whatever normal is, that's not me, and we'd be fine, but that wouldn't be me, right? So they've seen what I've gone through. They've been on this journey with me, obviously, because we're all together. And so I want to show them that, they also can, it may not be easy at times, but it's worth it. It's going to be so worth it to be yourself, to live your truth, express yourself. So they are a big, driving force for me. So I'm so blessed to have them.
Yeah.
Oh, how beautiful. Yes. Yes. And such a beautiful a model for young girls and to look up to, and to know that they can, they can be courageous and they can step into who they are and really love that part of themselves or love who they are. I really, I want to say I can really relate to what you were talking about. I feel like it's a form of identity that we kind of attach to this identity of who we are in the world and what we do, and like before burnout. And then as we move through burnout, it's a little bit uncomfortable. I felt to, it's almost like, okay, we have to shed that identity and have the courage to step towards something new, or become something new, but it's really who we are just inside. Like we are letting that come out. So that's beautiful. I wanted to ask you more about you. So you work with people to connect with their authentic selves. And so if someone is, for our listeners, going through burnout and they are finding it hard to really connect with who they are, or their the authentic part of themselves, what makes them unique, what would you say to them, or what would be kind of a first step in getting to know that?
Yeah, so definitely for my clients, I love a really close one-on-one relationship, because I really want to get to know them. So I would love to find out more about, a little bit about their childhood, like what did they think their life was going to be like? What were some of their hopes or their dreams, or what did they want to do? What did they think was going to happen? And kind of what's the difference, or, kind of take them through a timeline of like events, what are the big life events that got us to where we are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so many different tools and modalities that we can use to try and pull out of either the body through hypnosis or NLP to find out, is this real? So is this just something that society says, that, marketing, says I should have this, or I should be this, like you're saying, identity, like whose identity is this? Like what's real for me? So I really think, and I've had a lot of great experience myself that was part of my journey with, going into the body and finding out, is this really me? Or what did I lose? Let's get rid of it. Let's take it out if it's not mine. Let's release it, like through the body. And then what is it that I lost? Let's bring that back in. Let's bring that back in. And so, it's just, like I said, there's so many amazing ways to work through that. And again, for me, it really depends on the person I'm working with, like what they're comfortable with and what their beliefs are about, right? So that's another big piece of this, right? If we don't believe, or if we don't have faith that, these solutions are going to work, they're not going to work. It's just like, you can't force I learned that definitely in corporate. You can't force change. You can't force a process on people, because, if they don't believe in it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Tina, the work you're talking about is so powerful. I really love what you were saying there about working, intrinsically with the body and also with the beliefs, and how we carry those beliefs in our physicality, not just mentally, but physically as well. I'm really curious to hear from you, from your experience, and then also your experience of working with others throughout your, the time that you've been working with people, to hear some more of these beliefs that we could call potentially myths about what burnout actually is. Because what we've found, Morgan and I have found through this experience, this project, is there are a number of different beliefs that we are carrying around as a society that are not contributing to a vital way of being. So I'm interested to hear your perspective and your thoughts on this.
Oh, yeah, I love it. So I'll start with the first one, which, was fairly closely related to myself, right? So one of the big myths, and so I was just blessed that with all the burnout I've had and the journey I've been through, I still do have a lot of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I still get to be a really great observer of everything that goes on. However, when it comes to yourself, sometimes you miss it.
Yes.
But one of the big myths that I was always kind of fighting, which I think was part of like one of the nuggets in my burnout, was around, that I have to, to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why can't you be normal? And how come, why do you do things so differently? And, all the other wives do this, or all the other moms do this, or, all the other grandmothers do this. And, it's just and to me, everything seemed to be so, it's like, like the Stepford Wives movie. I don't know if that would date me. I don't care. But, it's like, I don't want to be like a robot,
Yes.
And so there's safety in that myth, right? So there's a lot of safety in being like normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for a lot of us, and maybe for a lot of folks that are, joining the series, we're not normal. And it's not, again, that's another word, Morgan, right? Where there's like, some kind of weirdness around these words. I think we need new language, right? But so for me, it's the myth of, you got to be, if I'm not normal, then, I'm not going to be liked. I'm going to be, I'm not going to, fit in, all that kind of stuff. And so I've always been a misfit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen for myself, when I try to do the fitting in, it never works. It doesn't work.
Right.
So I think that's what happened a little bit with me. Like I tried to fit into this whole bubble life and do all these things, and I was just dying inside.
Yeah.
And again, not that, being normal is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that myth did not work for, the myth of, you got to be normal and then you'll be happy. You got to fit in and then you'll be happy. No, for me and, for a lot of the folks, actually for several women that I talked with last year, they're sick of being normal. They, we're all, for my age group, we're getting like approaching 50. We've done all this normal stuff. And now it's like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
What's the next thing? And so everybody's kind of lost.
Yeah.
So I think, that was a big one for me. Is like this myth around, you got to be normal and then you'll be happy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a big belief of no. And I never believed that, but I tried it and it didn't work. So let's see. Another
one actually that you had mentioned is this before when you're talking is like pushing this this belief that we have to push to make things happen. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to speak on that, but we have heard sort of that come up in the other interviews as well, that feeling like we have to push.
Yeah, and it might even be like a little bit misplaced, right? So maybe we're doing this work in our career. We're pushing this work in the career. So we're showing up. We just want to do more. Like maybe it's a push to maybe if I just do a little bit more for everybody else, if I push out a little bit more, then I'll have some space for me. That's kind of I think how I see it. Let's push. The more work I do out there, the more I can help my family. The more I can do this for somebody else. The more I can push and do that. Then maybe I'll have some space. That'll give me more. It's like this weird mental. I think we just, we play games with ourselves. We make up excuses, we make up stories, and a lot of it could be again that we're either, we're afraid to step into and say no, like no more of this. There's only I can't push anymore. I have nothing left, right? So, maybe find boundaries, right? So that I don't know if boundaries came up, but that's usually a topic for burnout, right? Is you need to have boundaries, right? And so I don't know if that's another myth, because it's not so much about the boundaries. It's just about, again, having inner balance. And that's what I found. As long as I'm balanced inwardly, I don't need boundaries because I know who I am. I know what I need to do. I know my limits. And then whoever shows up, it's going to be all good, so that's another word that kind of, I'm always like, boundary, what's a boundary? I'm not about boundaries, but I am about, again, being in alignment, maybe it's more about personal, having respect for yourself personally is a boundary. Maybe that's a different kind of boundary. It's like, don't, maybe we need to not project all these things onto other people. And that was definitely something I learned in my burnout, was that it was all me. There were times where I tried to blame other people, and I was pointing, no, it was this, and no, it was you, and it was this job, and it was this. It was all me, right? So I don't know if that's a myth, that, it was something outside of us, but I definitely, and that's something that I'm definitely going to incorporate more into working with people, is that, we're responsible. So I'm responsible for my life. I got to be responsible for how I show up. It's no one else's fault. So, and that's a big thing. And I did a lot of that in corporate as well, especially with leadership. If we don't take 100% responsibility, then someone else has to fix it. So I want to be in control. So I'm going to take responsibility for all of it.
Yeah, it's a good point too about, I didn't think of it that way, as it's not in essence about the boundaries so much. It's about, being in alignment with our inner self.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic perspective. I love that, because it's just hearing you say that, it's very anchoring, and it's very centering. It is ultimately our responsibility. And I love that it's about inner balance. And when you have the inner balance, then the boundaries are naturally there anyway, because you know who you are. Love
exactly,
that.
right? Yeah.
That's powerful.
And the cool thing is that, once you have that alignment and you're confident and you know who you are and you're not afraid and you got courage, you have support, it's amazing the stuff that will show up, right? So, right. So when you set your intention and your intentions and your energies right, and your intentions are clear, more good will show up. Challenges we always need. That's always good, again, because we have to keep learning and growing. But yeah, and that's what's really gotten me to this point right now, Lucy, because like I said, it was ugly. It was not looking good. And so the only way I could get to this call with you today was to say, no, it's mine. I got to own this. And I'm going to not fix myself, but in a way, I need to correct these things for myself. No one else can fix it. I got to do it.
I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you 100%. I feel like, it's so important what you're saying, because let's talk about corporate for a minute. I think that's a really, that's a place where I feel that we're seeing a lot of people coming out of the woodwork with burnout. And look, it seems to be a global thing that's happening. But let's focus on the corporate sector for a moment. Do you feel that women in the corporate place have a different experience of burnout to men?
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's still, and so I was born in the 70s. I am not a feminist at all. My experience in the workplace, I've never experienced any kind of crazy harassment or unequal pay. Like, that was never my experience at all. But I do remember, like back in the 60s, or my mom, growing up, just learning about what happened about, the women's movement, and we have to step up. And, I would see, when I was younger, like women going to work and they have on these suits and they're wearing, and I'm like, why would you want, I still don't get it. You even see like these big corporate women, they're wearing a man's suit. I don't care how designer it is or whatever it's like. So I just think that maybe as collectively, or I don't know, I believe it's changing, but I think we just took on like two lives. So we have to be the mom and the wife. And we also have to go to work. We have to show up. We got to bring in the money as well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, especially like 20 years ago, before I am where I am now, I would always be like, Mom, thanks a lot. I could be chill right now. But now I got to go to work. And she's like, oh, you don't know what it was like. And I'm like, I don't know. I said, but yes, I definitely think they do have it, because, and again, so, and I think in some states or in the US, some things are changing, but, we're the ones who are going to give birth. We're going to carry the child, right? So we're in corporate, we're trying to have a family, have a relationship. And then when we have these other callings that happen, like with me, you know, then what do I do? Right? Who's going to even like listen to me? You know, there's no time, you know, get up, get the kids out, get to work, and if depending on your level of position, you know, I guess the more income you have, the more help you can get. But again, you're going to be missing out. There's always some cost, right? And that's a corporate thing, right? There's always some kind of cost.
Right.
So I'm going to go for the executive vice president job. I'm going to get a nanny, but then I'll have less time with my kids. Right. And so then we might rationalize, well, I'll have less time now, but later on we can take more vacations or we'll have a great retirement. And that's like another big thing for me was about, I don't know if I'm going to be alive for retirement, you know? So each day, you know, for me now is really sacred. You know, after the changes I've been through, it's like, you know, we're talking about now, you know, tomorrow's tomorrow and next week is next week. Right. Yeah. But I definitely think they have a higher, and it's different. Actually, I don't know a lot of men, or I haven't seen a lot of men who actually are burnt out from corporate. I don't see more, you know, I do see more of the women. I don't know, because I work with them more closely, but I'm trying to think. I've seen women have to take breaks, and, you know, I don't recall, you know, I've seen men die at their desk. I've seen that. I saw that a couple of times where they, right. But, you know, unfortunately, but yeah, I think it's just, you know, we put so much on ourselves against that pushing, you know, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I can do it. We can do it. And it's just these expectations of some, you know, the global conditioning of, yeah, you're a woman, you got to do it all. Right. And so what I'm saying is you can, right. You can, however, just remember to stay centered and have your own, you know, don't ignore your inner self, right. Or your inner calling and the other part of that, especially I see a lot of this with the women, and I've seen it a lot the last year with some folks I was working with is, and I think this is so important, is our voice. Right. So remember I said the biggest thing I could have did was ask for help. So we don't ask for help. Yeah. Right. So being able to actually speak, you know, it's, you know, it sounds kind of like cliche, but being able to share your dreams, being able to talk to your partner, to your spouse about, hey, this isn't working for me, or, hey, we need to plan a change. You know, a lot, you know, it was almost like every single woman was more about, again, pointing the finger versus, well, did you have a conversation? Did you guys actually talk about it? Where are you, you know, what are you not sharing? Yeah. I think that's another big part of the burnout is that we keep everything inside. Right. And so again, like we were saying before, the body just sucks it up. And then the next thing you know, your appendix, you have to go to the emergency room. To take it out.
Yeah. Those are like, and I think that's like those are all really good points. And I feel like it comes back to when we get to know ourselves and what we truly want and what truly lights us up, that we have more of an awareness of, you know, when things are kind of off or not working for us, or, you know, do we want to be, you know, in a corporate job, high power, like a high position, and doing that, does that really light us up? Or is it more of, does it look like something else? You know, maybe we really love doing crafts and hobbies, and that is, you know, perfect for us. It's like, are we operating our lives based on someone else's version of what it should look like? Or is it really truly our version of what it looks like? It should look, or not should, but
I think, I think that's what's happened. Like a lot of people have just gotten lost in the, you know, like it's like, you know, we're like robots. And what's happening now is that everything is just speeding up. And so the more you push and the more you earn and the more you're doing, then the more you're expected to do. And, you know, the energy's changing, you know, we're getting into a new decade soon. And it feels like to me that it's coming to like a point where it's going to explode. So I think, you know, more people or more women, you know, there's going to be more burnout if that awareness doesn't kick in, right? If they, you know, because it doesn't happen for everyone because they are so busy or they're not paying attention, you know, so there may be more coming.
I really relate to what you were saying, your story there. I took me a long time to get the courage to speak up and to say this is not working for me. And it was to do with my role in corporate, and to say it to my husband, to say it to my family. It was a huge step, and it took 8 years. It took a long time to say, but once I made that decision, that was the turning point. And I guess what we're finding here, and I think that one of the core themes that's coming through these conversations is that of worthiness, of do we feel worthy to have our own needs met? So Tina, from your perspective, how would you go about, if someone in our community is really resonating with what you're saying, what are some of the resources and the tools that you have used in your own journey that you would recommend?
Well, definitely. Oh, there's so many, which I love because I love to have different resources for people. So definitely one thing has been, to help with the awareness is meditation, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think this is, again, a growing practice that's, more and more people are doing this. But to be able to separate the outside from the real me, that has been like a huge practice to keep me focused on who I really am. Right. So definitely, being able to, meditation practices that really work. I think there's tons of, YouTube is loaded with meditations, guided meditations. There's all different kinds of ways to do it, but definitely finding some way to get started with a practice of being able to just go inward. Right. And so, you don't need, you can do that for free, right? You don't have to go, hire a coach. You don't have to go buy anything. You just, you can Google something, or we can share something. But even like, so meditation for sure, journaling practices, right? So again, finding ways to, if you can't speak it yet, you got to find a way to express it, right? So journaling was another thing that I used, right? So writing. So if you're not into writing, painting, all those things, but you've got to find a way to release it so that it doesn't stay in your body. So, so if it's just walking outside, right? So meditating, getting out in nature, doing the journaling, definitely things like, so another tools would be like human design, right? So understanding your energy patterns. So looking at tools that can help you with that. So human design, understanding, so that system will help you understand how to make better decisions. You can get into lots. It's such a huge system. There's many, many, many levels, right? I don't think we have time to go through all of that, but for most of my clients, that's one of the first things I like to look at is, okay, let's check your energy pattern. Let's add it with mine. That way, when our two energies are meeting, we know who's who. So that's right. That's one of the things I love about human design. It's like, okay, wait a minute. No, that's yours and this is mine. And so it's great. And then for the last year or so, I've done a lot of work with astrology, and I won't say I can't believe it, but I can't believe how the level of knowledge that people are sharing now about astrology, the teachers that are out there, it is like so amazing. So I really dug deep into my chart, into my things to see what is going on with all of this. And it's so precise. It's scary. It's a little bit freaky. That's amazing. It's really a little bit freaky. So things like human design, the meditation. So I mentioned a little bit about NLP and hypnosis. So things like that, really just light things. And again, there's so much cool information. There's so many, there's lots of, especially where I live now, there's more coming, but places to go to get Reiki, to go get your chakras balanced. These places are becoming more and more popular because again, the things that worked before, they don't work anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you can't just take a vacation and, your burnout is healed. Or you can't just, this is another thing that really makes me a little, nervous is when, not nervous, but, we go take a pill. I'm going to go get a Valium, or I'm going to go get something to calm down. No. Maybe in the moment but now we're going to get you settled, but then we're going to talk about, okay, what do we really need to do because this is not sustainable, right? You can't keep taking a pill because you're afraid to share, or because you're miserable, or because your life purpose is, you don't know what it is, or because you're dying at work. You're not going to take a pill for that. Okay. So that's just one thing when I see that happening. And I did see that a little bit last year. And it was also offered to me, from my own doctor. He's like, well, you could take this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm not taking it. So I didn't want to take it. Maybe I should have, but just as a backup.
Yeah.
But I love this idea that what you guys are doing, because again, the support, right? So that's really what I need, and I was too stubborn, like when I had to ask for help, right? So finding the right people to support you, whether it's a group like you guys are putting together. There's so much resources. I think the more folks like you guys put this out there and share, things will get better. I think it's just it's the end of this decade. Everything's kind of bubbling up. And then I think in 2020, people are going to start realizing, okay, I need some help. I know it's out there. And then all these resources that you guys are providing, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's what we want to do, is like create this community so that people can have support and to move forward and feel better, feel good,
Yeah, and even if you are even if you don't feel like you fit in or you're not normal, it's okay, because they'll
Exactly.
you can find your place to fit in.
You're in good company, so
yeah. Yeah. So Tina, I hear you have a generous offer for our audience. Would you like to talk more about it?
Yeah. So so for the free gifts, I was kind of wondering what to do, and so again, because I am excited to look forward to the new year, and I want to help you guys and support you guys' cause as well. So what I'm going to do is offer some free time. So again, it's going to be really specific. If you are really serious about addressing your inner alignment, if you feel like you may be approaching burnout, or you're ready to kind of really step into your voice and be responsible, but also kind of be the rebel you that you want to be, then I would love to meet with you and talk with you about, we can go through kind of the main 8 areas of your life, and see where the gaps are, see what might be causing your symptoms, right, of burnout. And maybe there's some things that we can do really quickly to head those off.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So I think you guys have the link, but I think it's going to be really amazing, and I would love to again. But really, if you're not really serious, or if you're kind of just exploring, I only have like a limited number of spots for the month, so grab it.
Well, that's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. And we will be sure to put all of those details in the show notes so that people can get on it and take you up on that offer. Thank you, Tina. So we have a question that we'd like to ask you to bring the session to a close. And the question is, if you could send an encouraging and loving message to your younger self from about 20 odd years ago, what would you say to her?
Ooh. Oh, so many things. What would I say? Okay, I think I would say, I love you. You're amazing. Don't run, don't hide. Go inside and, get your balance, get your strength, get your courage, and express yourself. Just be yourself. And I'll be here for you when we meet up again. Get in alignment and all will be well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a brilliant message.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for coming here and being a part of our project and our series and the community. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and some really great, wonderful insights and yeah, there's so much juiciness in there. So thank you. Thank you for everything. And thank you for the laughs and all that.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys. I feel, like I said, I think what you guys are doing it's amazing. So congrats. I think it's all going to be amazing results for everyone who participates. And so here's to 2020 for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tina. It's such an honor.
You guys too. Take care.
Bye.